Hoboken Second Ward Councilwoman Beth Mason is calling on lawmakers to approve legislation that would require state government to post all of its financial transactions on the internet. She says this would help to bring much-needed transparency to the government's use of taxpayer dollars. Joining me now with more is Councilwoman Mason. Thank you very much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
What exactly is this legislation? Who proposed it, and what's its status?
It came about actually as a national effort. It's a bipartisan movement, and Senator Pennacchio introduced it here in the state of New Jersey. And several municipalities have joined on to say they support this effort because, as you know, with our financial situation statewide, the looking at the books needs to start here in our own backyard, and that's why this has become a actual movement, not just here in New Jersey, but now beginning nationally as well. The state of New York, for example, actually has 2 sites that produce this financial information, and under the Bloomberg administration, they've actually discovered millions of dollars in waste and have been able to address those by having people and the press like yourself look at this information and analyze it. So all eyes on the books, so to say.
What types of transactions would be posted?
When you're talking about like pension funds and those types of documentations as far as expenditures, how it's matching the budget at that current time, so you have an idea of what's actually happening at a state level. And we do this at a local level too, where you're able to see it, track it on a month-to-month basis if you're interested. A lot of this information already in electronic format, so it actually doesn't cost that much to get that information up on a website. That seems to be some of the concern, is that how much it might cost, but the cost of putting it up doesn't come anywhere close to how much we can save by looking at where the duplication of services might be, duplication of expenditures, and sometimes you don't even know where some of it's going. Like, for example, in Hoboken, where we had thousands of dollars going out in cell phone charges, and we don't even know who's using the cell phones themselves. So this is an area where obviously at this time is critically important for the public to have access and the press as well.
And of course, in Hoboken, taxpayers are facing a huge property tax hike. So I imagine that this is very important for them to know how their dollars are being spent.
Definitely, and all of us have to make choices, and sometimes knowing how that money is spent allows us to make better choices for the future.
So you're obviously a supporter of this. How specifically is this going to help residents in Hoboken?
First of all, every municipality gets state aid. We have $16 million, over $16 million in state aid for the city of Hoboken, and we want to make sure that those dollars that are coming to us are well spent, and that we can actually stand and say, our money is being well spent, so you should keep participating in that effort.
And finally, what's the status right now
in terms of the legislation? It's moving forward. You're building support municipality by municipality, so I encourage any municipality that hasn't actually signed on to support this effort to do so, and then we'll see where it goes in terms of the vote itself.
Well, thank you very much for joining me here today to talk about this.
Thank you so much for having me.